mitochondria. Unfortunately, your husband has hypoxia.
Hypoxia? What is that?
It's a deficiency in the amount of oxygen reaching your tissues.
Explain, please.
Well, hypoxia can result from a failure in any stage in the delivery of oxygen to cells. So basically, something is wrong with his cellular respiration process.
Cellular respiration? What is that?
Well, your body has a process called cellular respiration that helps produce energy with oxygen and glucose.
To start cellular respiration off, we have glycolysis. This takes place in the cytoplasm of a cell. First, we have a glucose molecule, a 6-carbon chain. To start the process, 2 ATPs are converted to ADP. This is the energy investment phase. This splits the glucose molecule and an additional phosphate group is added to each side. Then 2 NAD+ electron carriers pick up electrons to become NADH. In all, we have created 2 pyruvate molecules, 4 ATP with 2 net ATP, and 2 NADH plus H+ are produced. Now we have the oxidation of pyruvate. Pyruvate enters the mitochondria with the help of active transport and is met with coenzyme A, or CoA for short. An electron is given to NAD+ to form NADH+ and H+. Finally, carbon dioxide is given off as a byproduct. Acetyl-CoA is now formed. Next, the citric acid cycle. The citric acid cycle takes place 2 times per glucose in the mitochondria. Acetyl-CoA is able to join with a 4-carbon molecule. Again, NAD+ picks up an electron and forms NADH plus H+, and as a result, carbon dioxide is given off. This happens twice. Also, an ADP molecule is converted into ATP, and an FAD+ accepts an electron to form FADH2. NAD+ accepts an electron once more, and we're able to move on to the electron transport chain. This takes place inside the inner mitochondrial membrane. NADH and FADH2 are reduced as they drop off their electrons. We have now created a hydrogen-proton gradient, with oxygen being the final electron receptor. This makes H2O as a byproduct. Finally, chemiosmosis. Hydrogen ions are pumped through the ATP synthase that acts like a pump or a revolving door. With ADP becoming phosphorylated, the normal body creates about 34 ATPs. Any questions?
So then how does this process relate to hypoxia?
Oxygen is the last electron receptor, so the iodine in his Tylenol blocked the oxygen from receiving the electrons, so his body was unable to produce ATP.
So this machine, this is what's keeping him alive?
Yes.
So then what about my planty?
Well, that's not really important, but I guess I have 10 minutes before my surgery, so I guess I can explain it to you.
We'll start off with the first step of photosynthesis, the light-dependent. In the light-dependent process, the sunlight has energy that breaks apart the water into its separate components, a single oxygen molecule, 2 hydrogen atoms, and 2 electrons. These electrons go through the first step called photosystem 2, which is where the electrons travel from one pigment to another, finally ending at chlorophyll A and then going up to the final acceptor in photosystem 2, called a primary acceptor. From there, the electrons travel to the next photosystem, photosystem 1, through an electron transport chain, similar to the one in cellular respiration. The electron transport chain consists of plastoquinone, which is a complex of 2 cytochromes and several other proteins. This flow of electrons helps produce ATP with a process called chemiosmosis. From there, the electrons continue through PC, or plastocyanin, which is a copper-containing compound in the electron transport chain that accepts the pair of electrons from the cytochrome complex. After the electrons travel through the electron transport chain, the electrons arrive at the second photosystem, or photosystem 1. In this system, the electrons go through a similar process as they do in photosystem 2. After the electrons reach the primary electron acceptor, they then travel to a FD, or ferredoxin, a protein/enzyme that takes these excited electrons to the enzyme that stores this light-derived energy in NADPH. This NADPH is then transferred to the Calvin cycle to make sugar in the light-independent reactions. To sum up, the water that gives off a single oxygen molecule, ADP, is turned into ATP by an ATP synthase channel with the power of hydrogen atoms, and also an end product of NADPH. The NADPH and ATP join CO2 in a merry-go-round. The CO2 enters the Calvin cycle and attaches to a 3-carbon molecule called 3-phosphoglycerate, or 3-PGA, by the enzyme Rubisco. This is also where ATP turns into ADP. The 3-PGA is transformed into 1,3-biphosphoglycerate, which is also where NADPH is turned into NAD+. From there, the carbon molecule is phosphorylated into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, or G3P, which can also be called pGal. With a total of 6 of these pGals, 1 pGal moves out of the cell and the other 5 are rearranged into ribulose biphosphate, or RUBP, which is processed again through the cycle. This cycle occurs twice to form glucose or sucrose. In conclusion, the Calvin cycle gives ADP, NADP+, which is used again in the light-dependent process, and glucose or sucrose.
Oh, photosynthesis.
Yeah, well, I guess I have to go before my surgery now, so.
It's time to let you go.